You ever have one of those mornings that feel like the world's finally letting you breathe? I mean, the sun's barely up, the lake behind my house is just a sheet of silver. And for a second, all those years spent grinding away in some windowless office almost seem worth it. You know what I mean? I've got this old mug, cracked but stubborn, still advertising a greasy spoon I used to haunt in college, warming up my hands as I rock slow in my chair, just listening to the dock creak and the meadowlark outsing the silence. At least that's how it was until the day a banshee scream tore the peace in two and reminded me that tranquility is just a rumor in Pine Ridge, especially if you're living across the street from Karen Henderson. Let me back up a sec. Karen, if you don't know her, and Lord, I wish I didn't, is the queen bee of our HOA, reigning supreme from a monstrous, tacky McMansion that glares down at the rest of us peasants on Lakeside Drive. Her house is the kind of place that tries too hard, 5,000 square feet of cathedral windows and custom fountains, but not a shred of soul. She's got this panoramic view of Crystal Lake, which would be perfect, if not for one little hiccup: no direct path to the water. Developers stuck her just far enough back that she can only dream of that private dock life unless she cuts through someone else's yard, and guess whose yard is the golden ticket? Yeah, mine. So when I first moved in, a modest 3-bed ranch, nothing flashy, just the kind of spot where you think you'll finally get to take it easy, I was honestly grateful. The place had been loved for 30 years. The dock was sturdy, the garden wild in a way that made me feel like I'd finally outrun the clock. First weeks were all grilled burgers, cheap beer kayaks at sunrise, and a little hope that maybe, just maybe, Pine Ridge was the break I'd earned. Neighbors' waved lawns were green, and for the most part, everyone seemed content to let me be, except for Karen, who eyed me from behind those fussy lace curtains like she was calculating my net worth per blade of grass. Then came the knock. Saturday morning, too early for anyone with a soul, and there's Karen dressed head to toe in some brand name athleisure clipboard, cocked that smile tighter than her last round of Botox. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she chirps, before launching into a checklist of supposed violations. My kayak rack was too close to the property line. The deck furniture didn't match the HOA's sacred list. My garden's native wildflowers violated subsection whatever of the landscaping code. I listened, nodded, and made the changes. Figured it was easier than picking a fight, I was wrong, dead wrong. A couple weeks later, I start noticing strangers on my property. Couples with cameras, families setting up picnics on my dock like it's some public park. I ask what the hell's going on, and one woman pulls up an Airbnb listing Henderson Lakeside Retreat, exclusive lake access. There in full color is my dock, my kayak, my beach, $300 a night for private lakeside serenity. You have got to be kidding me. I storm across the street. Karen's out there blasting her driveway with enough water to fill the lake twice over, and I demand an explanation. She just tilts her head all smug and says the lake view's a shared asset meant to increase property values for everyone, then actually threatens to cite me for breaking the so-called harmony of the neighborhood if I keep making a fuss. She tells me I should be grateful her guests are raising the tone of the community. That night, while everybody else is watching reruns or pouring wine, I'm hunched over the HOA bylaws like I'm cramming for the bar exam. Turns out old Karen made a mistake. There are rules about privacy fences, walls, hedges, all perfectly legal if you follow the guidelines, and there's even a grandfather clause protecting property rights established before the HOA existed. The more I dig, the more I realize she's not just trespassing, she's running a full-blown scam. So I call Derek, my old college roommate guy's a property lawyer now with a mean streak for poetic justice. He laughs so hard I think he's going to pull something, then says, "You want payback or do you want art?" I tell him, "I want both." So begins the Great Wall Project, a masterclass in malicious compliance. I get a surveyor out to mark every inch, pull all the permits, hire a crew with one mission: build the most magnificent HOA legal privacy wall this side of the Mississippi. 12 feet high cedar and reinforced concrete just within the color palette, and exactly where I'm allowed. The architect, yes, I hired an architect, makes sure it blocks every square inch of Karen's $1 million view, but leaves mine wide open. We start construction Memorial Day weekend right in the middle of Karen's annual HOA barbecue. Trucks roll up at 7 a.m. She's already clutching her pearls. By noon, the posts are set. By sundown, the frame is up, and Sunday the cedar goes on, sealing her fate in sun-dappled glory. By late afternoon, I'm nursing a beer and admiring my handiwork when her scream rips across the cul-de-sac. There she is dragging half the barbecue behind her, shrieking about lawsuits, city codes, threats of neighborhood-wide retaliation. I just smile, hand her a thick folder, every permit surveyor's map highlighted, bylaw, plus screenshots of her illegal rental listings, and a cease and desist letter with Derek's firm on the letterhead. You could see the color drain out of her face. That's when the twist hit. One of the party guests turns out is on the HOA board and quietly asks if his own home has been listed for rent without his knowing. Another checks his phone, sees photos of his backyard in Karen's listing gallery. Now it's not just me versus Karen. Suddenly she's got the whole board breathing down her neck. People are muttering about legal risk, fraud, even embezzlement. Emergency board meeting gets called. I show up with a slide deck. Yes, a slide deck. Old habits die hard. Testimonials from fake renters, security cam footage, even a timeline of Karen's little intimidation campaigns. Every story seems to open a new can of worms. Folks start sharing how Karen's been borrowing amenities from all over the street, selling community experiences to city folks for a weekend at a time. She tries to talk her way out, but her big defense is just more buzzwords about synergy and shared vision until someone on the board finally asks her to account for all the undeclared income. Dead silence. The board votes her out, unanimous. The treasurer calls for a full financial review, and someone's already drafting an apology to every homeowner affected. News gets out fast. Karen's listings vanish, guests demand refunds, and within weeks, the state attorney general opens a fraud investigation. I'm back to enjoying my mornings only. Now the birdsong is occasionally interrupted by process servers looking for Karen, who's facing lawsuits from renters and a bill north of 200 grand. The last time I saw her, she was loading boxes into a moving truck, foreclosure notice taped to her door, shooting me a death glare over her shoulder. I just lifted my mug and a little toast. She flipped me off and was gone for good. The wall still stands, weathered now, but solid, a monument to boundaries, both physical and personal. Sometimes in the hush before sunrise, I think I can still hear the echo of that first furious shriek, but mostly it's just peace, hard-won and long overdue. Folks ask if I feel bad. Not a bit. If anything, I'm grateful for the reminder that a community is only as good as the respect people have for each other's lines, visible or not. So, what do you think? Did I go too far or just far enough? Drop your thoughts below. Where do you draw the line between standing up for yourself and letting things slide for the sake of neighborly peace? Let's hear how you'd handle a Karen in your neighborhood. And if you want more stories where karma rolls up with a permit and a plan, you know what to do. Hit that like and subscribe.